with Defran playing Genji and Sinatra playing Chaser. Not sure if they're going to go back to it. I tend to believe they're going to try to do this triple tank stuff even more. They have to know that Pharah Mercy is coming, and they need to long range hit scan. They can't do triple tank Tracer, and feel like that's going to be okay against this team like it was against CLG.
One thing I want to note here before we get too far removed, just because Rob brought it up, but what a journey this has been for XQC, just as a general note. There was a time in the pro community where he was just memed on, where people said, XQC, 27th best tank in the game. And with YIKES' recent performance, both last month and certainly this month, he's made a name for himself as one of the very best tanks in the game, so it's a great story for him, no matter how you slice it.
He's been on that grind, he just plays constantly. It's the only thing he loves doing, and like the passion definitely comes across. So they will be running the combo on the side of YIKES. No surprise as the brawl takes place up top to begin.
It's an early fight up top here. Pizza in the air, but Ginger Pop taking that immediately. We didn't see that happen too often over the weekend, and with Ginger Pop down, Defran, nothing stopping him from assassinating Za, and Selfless opening up much stronger than perhaps expected.
We talk a little bit about the anti-air Genji, and maybe it's not always the best option. It doesn't seem that intuitive to think that Genji can be anti-air, but those swift strikes can be so good to clean it up. You can use a Dragon Blade to pressure it down. At the very least, it makes the combo account for you and become uncomfortable.
Well, YIKES coming back in with style, not really wasting much time here as Sinatra beautifully dispatched by Pizza, so it's a quick comeback here from YIKES. They get the first pick off, and it's a 65 as they look to retake control here on the city center. But X, this can be difficult to retake. This is one of the easiest things to delay on, but they re-grab it even as Selfless is still alive, so YIKES already flipping progress.
That shouldn't have really happened. Part of the strategy on Oasis is just to keep these fights going forever. Once you have that first control, much like some maps on Ilios, you should be able to hold on to it for a very long time. So a positioning mistake, no other way to say it right there, because they had 4 alive near the point.
Selfless had so many people alive that they could have just shifted into a delay mode there and bought themselves at least another 20% progress, so they let that one get away from them, and YIKES with a big opportunity to turn all of this around.
I guarantee you that's what YIKES' strategy is going to be. It's what the strategy should be on this map, that if they lose 5, the one person alive will be up on the delay. We're entering the ultimate phase of the game. Sinatra should be having Tactical Visor first, could help to deal with the pharmacy.
Sinatra has to be looking for ways to get in on Pizza immediately, but Defran, he's gonna be the one to open things up here. The Dragon Blade is out, but not getting as much as he wants, ends up getting blown up in the end. But while that goes on, Sinatra with the Tac Visor does the heavy lifting for Selfless. And now we get into the delay mode where XQC, one of the last people still alive, he's gonna delay as long as possible here with his Diva to buy time for Denial to get back on this pointer. YIKES to get back on this point. Old habits die hard.
I barely even noticed it. What is this composition that Selfless morphed into? They've got Iman now on the Tracer, they're running a solo support. Michael 3P went to the Winston of all things?
The delay just long enough for YIKES to let Ginger Pop come back in, get the 3-man res, and pull this back. And that is how Selfless should have run things when they lost their previous fight. YIKES cleanly lost the fight, but they delayed for long enough to come back and turn it in their favor. All the while maintaining control. 88% for YIKES right now to 25.
All the while maintaining control might as well be the motto of Oasis. Every single one of these stages can end up devolving into a fight like this. Michael's able to take down his counterpart, but the delay has been there. They will get this to at least 99%. Now it's just about evicting them from the point with full force.
And this could take a while for a team to come in and get full control. Sometimes it goes on for longer than expected. That said, there's less of a margin for error here for Selfless because they're in overtime. If they get off for just a moment, it's gonna be tough. Sinatra already out of this fight, now up for Defran to bring it back, but low health to begin with, not a lot of options. XQC in his face, he puts the blade away and gets nothing. Good day, sir.
Low health to begin with because they're only running this one support. It's going to be difficult for the Lucio to keep everyone healed up. The Sound Bearer is going to help late, but off of the point somehow, I guess they were in the air, not counted. YIKES takes stage number 1.
Does indeed.
Okay, here's the logic, right? And bear with me. They don't want a second. They don't want a second healer. They want to just kill Ginger Pop and then rely on the fact that they have more damage than the enemy team. And it's kind of smart. I think it kind of worked out for them. They had an opportunity there to at least delay. Defran 1v2 the combo, I think like 2 or 3 times during that series. So I think if they're able to keep him on the Genji, it might pay off. But that I like the idea. It definitely showed that it had premise, but A little bit of execution, I think, at the end really hurt them.
They started that round with single support Lucio and Michael 3D on Winston. They won the first team fight, and as Hex, you mentioned, they got off the point when they shouldn't have. They could have delayed that at 50-60%, which was the initial goal. If they don't let that happen, they probably have a much better chance of winning.
Well, Selfless is going to be running this a little bit more by the book this time, and YIKES sticking with the Fair Mercy, even on University, where they're one of the few teams to do this. A lot of teams prefer not, but for YIKES, why change from what has worked out so well for them, as he's right now targeting supports in the backline and trying to create enough damage that XQC can leap in and finish them off. And YIKES is very good about executing on this game plan, generally speaking.
I mean, the problem is on this high ground without getting enough damage, and you're already giving up so much percentage on the point now that you have to jump down into the tanks, but that's a very nice kill, takes down a lot of the pick potential.
And YIKES, they're almost slow playing in this, in the sense they're not really being too crazy in their dive. They're creating plenty of room for Pizza, but they are pushing back Selfless. That said, Pizza gets taken down by Sinatra on the flank, but again, Selfless lets YIKES get control while many members are still alive. Selfless is shooting themselves in the foot right now with their point awareness.
It's just not how you play Oasis at all. To a man, from almost everyone on any team tells you Oasis a lot is just about getting the stall. Getting the stall and trying to bring a fight back out of Miracles, and the positional awareness has not been there.
No, and these are fights you can delay, you can stall, you can really contest for control of the point, and Selfless is not doing that right now, and they're giving YIKES free money, essentially. That said, here comes the sound barrier from YIKES early on. Pizza is going to use that to come in over the top. Sinatra goes to the ground trying to bring it back, but it's an awkward grab, doesn't really get much, and YIKES will cleanly take control of this fight.
So hard to come back in on this combo now. Is that a late boost? I think maybe on Nazari, I couldn't tell, maybe she was just glowing, but it does not matter. All the kills are there. Pizza did use a barrage there just to solo out Defran, which I can think of worse uses for a barrage. Now nearing 60% already, and I gotta say, just based on how they're playing, I don't think YIKES is gonna give this up before nearing about 90%.
No, YIKES is very good at delaying. They're not giving up things for free in the way that Selfless is. So Selfless, if they want to take this back, they're going to have to just crush YIKES going into this next fight, which is going to require Defran to probably have a monster attack advisor here. Easier said than done with how YIKES is positioning and how much space is being created by both XQC and Space. Accurately named.
They're also going to have to crush Ginger too, because he's holding on to the res. Dahoon does end up going down early. They might res him because when they bring him back, he should have Sound Barrier about ready to go, but it's not quite time to use the res just yet. They were actually just going to tempo it. Sure, bring back Dahoon, now you can Sound Barrier too. Perfect.
This is going very well for YIKES. Selfless is going to have to back out here, but they don't really have time to back out. It's 95%. And they're going to have to hope for a miracle. The miracle is not happening. Defran, surrounded on all sides by enemies, ends up falling. And the tank play for YIKES, so integral in creating the space there towards the end. And also just how they handled the Tac Visor. Tac Visor comes up, everyone YIKES just sort of casually backs off the point, and Defran gets very little from it.
There is a reason they picked this map beyond just having one of the best pharmacies in the game. They understand it. They know it. This fits their style perfectly, and they're executing flawlessly so far in Oasis.
I want the Genji back. I don't know why they got off it. Like, to be honest with you, I think that it had a lot of merit. I think it worked out for them, and I think that you could see them there panicking a little bit as they all swapped heroes. We saw like 2 or 3 people playing Roadhog, 2 people playing Diva. It's not a good look, in my opinion.
Well, bear in mind the stakes that are in play right now. If YIKES is able to take this round, or any of the next 3 rounds, they will be up 2 maps to 0 because they do get that winner bracket advantage. And Selfless will be in a situation where they will have to reverse sweep to bring this back. Not impossible, and we've certainly seen our fair share of it in Overwatch recently, but it would be a tall mountain to climb indeed. That said, Selfless can avert some of that if they come back strong in this round.
Well, they're back onto the composition they were running before with the single healer and the triple DPS. We'll see if it ends up working out for them. As I agree with Flame that the premise itself does have merit. It was where the execution struggled. You have to stay on the point, which so far they've struggled, and they open it up with a kill, does YIKES.
And YIKES just, again, maintaining good space control right now. Pizza not under pressure at all. Gonna deep dive here on Sinatra, and Sinatra gets saved somewhat, but not quite. Does make it a trade at the very least, but it doesn't really matter. It's YIKES' point already. Selfless isn't able to stall it out, and they're already finding themselves on the back foot once more.
they're going to have to find a better way to initiate than what they found, too. And you see all of these health bars getting so low. They can't really scrap it out like this. I think their engagement has to be much stronger early on because they're not going to have the sustain available. And they haven't really found a good angle to get on Ginger Pop, which, as Flame mentioned, is probably the main part of the plan.
Ginger Pop, he's elusive. It's an easy part to overlook, but he's had very good mercy play, very good movement. Now just goes for the one-man res, brings Pizza back up just to die again, as Selfless. The problem is, yeah, they're focusing Pizza here, but they're getting murdered by the ground forces of Dante and XQC, and they are starting to bring this back a bit, but now the question is how much can YIKES delay this out, which Primal Rage is in progress, a Diva at good HP. This should be a pretty strong delay coming in from YIKES.
They might be able to delay this long enough to start getting their reinforcements back, because you look, everyone has now spawned, and yeah, here comes Pizza over the top by Emong.
Yeah, Pizza's back in, both tanks are still alive, and even though on the merits you can argue that Selfless somewhat won that fight, they don't win by anywhere near enough of a margin to actually flip the point.
Winning fights doesn't give you objectives necessarily, so they're just playing to the objective perfectly.
They're playing it really well, and again, the tank play of YIKES has been sublime and really enabling this as Pizza coming in, just special delivery of the Sinatra, all the rockets you can eat. YIKES, one more team fight away from going up 2-0 here in the grand final.
They have to come in and pop both Blade and Visor, and they both have to go towards the combo. It's the only way I can see them bringing this back, as Ginger Pop's already going to have a resurrection for next fight.
And DeFran, what?
Wait, where did that happen?
In spawn? What?
Fat fingered? Or maybe he's just using it to get out there faster? I don't know.
Why is he not with his team? DeFran?
That means the map is over, by the way.
DeFran has given up. DeFran's given up. I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, I guess, you know, you just move on and like say, but like, something I don't like about
the
that.
phrase is grow up, I believe is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I don't even have words. It's rare that I'm left speechless, but what did we just watch from DeFran?
They could have fought that back. Like, you have Dragon Blade, you have Tactical Visor. If you can take the Sky out, then you're fine. And both of those would be... I don't like it. I like it at all.
Yeah, look, you are right, but to be completely honest, they died, each of them, with ult on the previous fight, and that was the fight they needed to win.
Yeah.
They left it so hard for themselves to have any chance of retaking that point, let alone that round, let alone that map at all, to win that map. That was a really clean win for YIKES. And, you know, as I mentioned before, that was the kind of problems that Selfless is going to have. YIKES snowballed at each of the rounds. They won the first team fight, except for the very first round, where the single support, triple DPS, double tank actually worked out pretty well in terms of the surprise factor against YIKES, but they weren't able to delay the point. And then when you don't take the first team fight, as you saw in the third round, you just don't, you don't have two support ults, so you know how powerful those are in Overwatch and the problems that brings, but they just couldn't snowball off the percentage in these games, and it's not surprised to see we're going to King's Row for Selfless map.
I actually still am trying to come up with the... I can't think of another time where we've seen that where a team possibly could have brought back. They had to land the point. He had Dragon Blade. Hex, can you think of any time where we've seen something like that?
No, I actually went to his POV because I thought he disconnected. Because, I mean, might as well disconnect then if you're not even going to try. Like... I don't know. I guess there's something to be said about.
What happened was he dash resetted to get a second dash out of spawn to get there faster, but that was not the case.
Yeah,
I don't know. They had an opportunity. They didn't execute though on the last stage. The reason why it works is if you kill the Mercy first. If you don't kill the Mercy first, you just lose because they have better heals and better tanks. And then they didn't even go in there trying to kill Ginger Pop. They took like a really scrappy engagement on the point, and then they just kind of got ran over. And I think that was supposed to happen. Like, you have your one shot. It's like a very all-in strategy. You're gonna kill Ginger Pop. You're gonna get sound barrier faster than them, and you're gonna snowball. But they couldn't do it.
Well, I know Selfless coach legit was saying they've been practicing dive. I think it does show they really don't have the coordination of other teams. But really, Mike with 3D and Kresnik were not all on the same page of trying to kill Ginger Pop. If you have Diva, Winston, Genji, Tracer, Soldier, Mercy's got to die. Even if you trade two, Mercy has to die, and they were not able to do that in those rounds.
I am mentally trying to get myself back into
leaving. Everyone,
I've never seen
you have a good week.
I've never been this broken from that. You know what? I'm just gonna rein it all in. focus, and heck, let's talk about the Selfless defense, where Defran is not on a Genji Dragon Blading in spawn just yet.
Not yet. I mean, it's a possibility if they get rolled over that he might just give up again. So yeah, it looks pretty standard to what they've run. They're going to run a couple tanks. Of course, Emong is going to be that extra damage output on his Roadhog, and then Defran 76, Sinatra Tracer. I guess go back to your comfort picks. They've been swapping up a little bit here and there, but I think this is probably the smartest move. Triple tank offense coming in with Dante and the Tracer for YIKES.
Well, YIKES, if nothing else, definitely ahead in the mental game right now, and they've already gotten themselves on some point. Again, you see YIKES with their really good objective sense. They find Michael 3D early on from the early pickoff. 65 opportunity, better positioning. This is a very good start here for YIKES, and for now, they're just gonna pile on. They're trading out efficiently, and there's really, you take a look at Selfless's positioning right now, they're getting bullied off of their own point.
Dante has been so good on Tracer for this team over the last several days, just being able to check the opposing team 76 and Tracer. Space yet again will eliminate the void between him and Dak with a hook, and he is gone. First point attack successful now for YIKES.
YIKES coming in strong here, and you can tell I'm still just a little.
That was a perfect YIKES. I mean, that's how you're supposed to say the word YIKES.
YIKES, indeed. I didn't really, I didn't actually think that YIKES wanted to have you say it that way, but the way the series has gone here, it's been something. In any case, Selfless is going to come back out here. Pulse Bomb in early on here from the side of YIKES, and that's a beautiful engage by XQC. Catches Kresnik off guard, 4-0, and Hex, this is turning a bit ugly.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath. Defran just stands there and will accept his fate and die and reset with his team. Again, instead of trying to do damage and running away, just stands there. And now they're pushing on the cart. And it was Selfless's best chance, I think, to try to bring it back or try to get somewhere in the mental space they needed to be, because their great thing is being aggressive and spawn camping. So that's what they were trying to do there. Just a beautiful charge from XQC, a nice boost onto him to keep this momentum flying. And speaking of momentum, they're going to have all the ults that they need to keep pushing.
Well, Dante gets picked off, trying to be a distraction in the back. Earth Shatter comes in, but does nothing. Selfless getting their first signs of life here on King's Row, in large part due to Sinatra landing the Pulse Bomb and opening things up.
Good for them. They absolutely needed a fight to stabilize, and what's great about it is they only had to use the Pulse Bomb. Now on the chase, they're getting super aggro, able to take down Ginger there late, and this is exactly where Selfless wants to be. Catch me with my boy Sinatra at spawn. Like, this is exactly the Selfless we know and love.
I'm not sure if this is organization or pure rage, but Kresnik bites the dust early on, and that's going to cause Selfless to have to give up quite a bit of ground here. They take down XQC as a parting gift, but it's a 3-1 in favor of the offense. And now, for a man who blades and spawn, Defran comes in on the tactical visor flank, looking for anything here and not really gonna get much of anything. This visor entirely wasted, gets hooked in and saved at the last moment by the sound barrier, but will it be enough here for Selfless? They're still in a rough shape, and Defran ends up getting pummeled towards the back.
Michael's doing the best to keep this team alive. He has been hitting super darts and keeping everyone healed, but a couple of nice kills take down the majority of the tanks. Sinatra trying to bring it back. Dak, a little bit of a sleep on the cart. Very back and forth so far. The next kill could decide this, but they gotta get on the cart.
They do have to get in the payload, but with the nano-boosted Reinhardt moving in, XQC will make all the room in the world. 4.5 minutes remaining here for YIKES. They have all the time to set a great pace here in King's Row. Selfless on the verge, really, of getting eliminated, because if they lose King's Row here, that's it. It is YIKES' tournament.
The positioning has been subpar. Even after that spawn camp there, they found 2 people in the hotel that ended up turning into 0 for 3 right there. XQC eats the bomb, but now they're going to pulse barrier out of this, and he's just going ham. Does end up knocking Michael down, but he finds himself out in no man's land. He's getting back!
When you have to be sure that the Ana dies. Earth Shatter not enough? Fire Strike not enough? How about a charge at the very end? The Graviton connecting from Pizza towards the very end. 2 people pulled in, and the follow-through is here right now. Dante oppressively going in, almost falls, but not quite yet. Selfless on their last leg as they try and pull this back. Last moment delay, and they will be pushing YIKES back, at least for now.
At least for the moment, as YIKES will retreat to try to set up this next push. They will have a boost. I wonder who that's going to go to. I mean, we haven't seen a boosted Whole Hog in a very long time. I think this last point in particular could be very good.
So 3 minutes left here for YIKES, still with the potential of setting, I'm not gonna say an unbeatable time, but something that would make Selfless shudder at the thought. Selfless must really come back here, win the next 2 fights if they want to make this King's Row a winnable affair. Kresnik, though, blown up immediately. Up to Defran here. Barrier, boost, and he gets slapped! A beautiful sleep in the back to keep it alive. It's Ginger Pop in the groove here for YIKES. And they might have just pulled this back off of a monumental sleep towards the end. Oh, he's not done yet. Sleeps Emon towards the back, stops the hook in mid-flight. And YIKES just a few short kills away. Ginger Pop, what is this on a play right now? It is sublime.
It's so great to see, too, because he's been so much on Mercy main, by the way, but he's proving that he is more than just that.
What? Oh. Ginger Pop popping off at the final. Oh man, that is some phenomenal on a play.
Switching sides.
That's going to the montage.
That is a montage video, self-contained in the middle of a match. Normally you have to do like 8 cuts for that for most players, but not dummy or Ginger Pop.
It's actually totally fine too.
Freudian slip.
It's fine to hit a montage video there because this is the grand finals of a tournament, and he just made monster play after monster play. I don't know, I was not in love with most of Selfless's positioning there, and then continuing fights they shouldn't have continued, trying weird flanks. What did you see there, Slasher?
I mean, to start off the map, you had YIKES pushing through lobby, getting a good position on Selfless onto the point. You did have Defran on the high ground, but they were able to take trades. And they were able to take first point cleanly. They kind of snowballed through all the way through second. It wasn't really till the very end that Selfless was able to contain themselves. They look frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them in the grand finals against Rogue twice, but they look a lot more flustered in this series than they do in either of those sets.
The XQC mental game is really paying off for them, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
so.
they're playing really well. Ginger Pop, I mean, you're talking about Azana, he's playing really well. XQC is hitting shatters, he's hitting charges, and Selfless does look like they're flustered. They go for like that 2v6 nano visor from high ground and get line of sighted by the cart in a Zarya bubble, and that was just the beginning of their troubles.
And
Zarya
even
might
of
be...
the 2 Tracer battles, Dante is playing, I think, the better one right now.
Yeah, well, his pulse bombs are not getting bubbled out of. So when he sticks Kresnik goes down. When XQC gets stuck, Pizza's just like, I got you, no problem, and I'll take the charge with it. So that's been one of the biggest differences is where these pulse bombs are actually hitting and the effect that they have.
I mean, Selfless played Zarya so well on King's Row through most of this tournament, but they've decided today to play this 2-2-2 with Tracer Soldier. I don't think it's worked out as well as they wanted it to.
Well, YIKES now in a prime position to finish out this Overwatch monthly melee with power and authority. 2.5 minutes is the time they finish with, and now if they can hold off Selfless, they will get their first major tournament win. And we see this offense coming in from Selfless. Defran, not really under assault here in the back. This is where Defran does a lot of work here, Hex. And for now, it's looking pretty good for Selfless, in fact.
They've got every position that they want right now. They got Defran alone up top. They had Sinatra up there. Sinatra's actually going to nail a pulse bomb onto Ginger as well. So looking very good for this offense on the back of the DPS players who just took the high ground and now clean it up. No way do they come back and save this point. I should never say no way in Overwatch, but I feel pretty good about this one.
Selfless, much better opening here, and now they can actually set a time to bring this one fully right back, where they get the first early attack, and this is a case where we've seen Selfless actually snowball momentum plenty of times at King's Row, so if they can pull things together, they can actually surprise us and come back and take King's Row and make it a series, but they still have a long way to go, and Emon dying is certainly going to hurt that lofty ideal.
Yeah, but they're still getting the push that they need. Now it's just a matter of if YIKES wants to take this opening and try to push through with it. Dante, or rather Defran, is up top. He does get anti-heal, but at some point they still have to start pressuring him. It's up to the Roadhog right now to try to throw it at him. Wow, there's the pulse bomb by Defran.
Well, Defran keeping it in here for Selfless, and this for Selfless are keeping momentum on offense right now. Sure, they lost Emon a moment ago, but here's where you see YIKES come into play, where even as YIKES has lost a few people in this fight, they're continuing to delay here pretty aggressively. So yeah, they could lose this, but look at the time they're buying at the moment, even as they get taken down. The payload finally moving forward. But this is going to give Denial at least a chance to regroup here before the payload gets the second point.
At the very least, they ended up forcing out the whole hog, not the most valuable of all ultimates, especially with how Selfless ends up using it just to scare the other team, apparently, just to intimidate them. So they will be able to set up at least on second point here, and I really think I want to put a lot on Dante here. He's done such a good job of checking the opposing team's DPS that I want to see what he can get done.
Well, Defran right now exploring flank opportunities. Soundbearer is going to come in, and here comes Attack Nanovisor into the back, finds Nahun immediately, and XQC knocked to the floor, giving plenty of room here for Defran to pile on. But Earthshatter comes in, knocks down 2, the Nano Boost is on XQC, and he pulls it right back at 3K for XQC. Yikes.
I'm going to move him up to 22nd best tank in the world after that play.
Hello.
Wow. He just woke up angry. Most of the boost had worn off, but he was just saving that shatter. I don't know why they're sitting directly in front of him without understanding that it's a distinct possibility. Unable to get the damage on him because of the boost. He wakes up, double shatter. Someone comes over to try to help and just feed him a 3K.
No doubt about it. Graviton coming in here from the defense, pulls in meaty group of people. Dante there with the pulse bomb right after, but Sinatra working his magic into the back line. The engage not really going the way of Yikes here, and Selfless finding a way of pulling this one through. They deal with the Graviton well, and Sinatra can finish this off, although I kind of agree with needing 4 people to take down Ginger Pop there. That is probably the proper response by Selfless, given what he did on the last round.
Well, regardless of how some of these fights have gone, they will just mosey on into second point here and get a pretty nice time extension, a little over 4 on the clock for the Selfless offense, as they seem to have calmed down a little bit. The coordination is there, the fights have been going much better for them, a little more even, rather.
Well, this is where Selfless, they can beat the time set if they have a good fight coming up here. Not a lot of resources to go with that, and you can stall for a while in Last King's Row, but Selfless very much could even this thing right up here with 2 more good fights. Meanwhile, you look at what Yikes has here. I think XQC, he's gonna get the nano boost. He's going in, there is no back button, and he drops the Earth Shatter, knocking down 3. Unrelenting aggression from XQC works out.
Yeah, and now the cleanup's there on the anti-heal targets. There should be the team kill horn coming out. I don't know, they got staggered out, but everyone is dead on the side of the offense. That is a failed push if I've ever seen one. They will have the nano visor. Never mind, Defran with visor up will switch onto Tracer instead. An interesting pick.
3 minutes, 10 seconds left is all that separates Yikes between them and a monthly Melee championship. Selfless must find a way through, and Kresnik eats the pulse bomb early on. The follow through Graviton is there, and it goes from bad to worse here from Selfless as the tank initiation from Yikes on par once more.
And that's what's been happening to Kresnik for the entire map, but this time they had a Zarya there. I'm not certain if the allied shield had already been burned, but the pulse bomb onto Kresnik needs to be shielded out of. That has been the big difference between these tanks. XQC is in his safe space. He feels completely safe. He gets bubbled, he gets healed, he can operate exactly how he wants to.
Yikes, 2.5 minutes remaining for them here. Sound barrier got fuel this engage as XQC crunches Defran of all people. Sometimes you find a Tracer on a charge, and that is one of those times where, again, Selfless getting bullied by these aggressive engages from Yikes. This has been a joy to watch.
XQC has earned himself another shatter. We talk a lot about Nano Boost going to Zarya so that she can work on it. Back in the day, before Nano Boost got a little nerfed, you just gave it to Ryan, because you knew by the end of it, Ryan was going to have Earth Shatter. And that's kind of the style that they've adopted here for Yikes.
It is indeed, and you take a look at the options here for Selfless. They are running out of time. They still have to win about 2 fights here. Moving in, Defran to the back, drops the Pulse Bomb. Ginger Pop is down, and so is Space. The Pulse Bomb does its work, and Selfless still staying alive here at the very end as they fight for their tournament life.
Well, good by XQC to just back out here. Of course, we're still talking about him. He's been one of the stories of this game, but he's going to hold on to Earth Shatter, just get all the way back into spawn. They know they have one more fight they have to win here to stabilize.
XQC moving in, Earth Shatter up once more. No nano boost for him this time, but again, aggressively walking forward, pursuing an Earth Shatter that very well could put Yikes over the top and give them the match. Earth Shatter comes in, it's blocked. Treats Kresnik. Graviton comes in to try and compensate, and the Earthshatter hits from XQC, only gets one in the back as Defran now works along the sides. 2 kills early on, Selfless in a great position here to stay alive here on King's Row as they're down to their final minute, and they punch it in.
If you are a fan of Rhine games, this was a great match, especially that last fight. Oh, I can't even imagine the tension of just holding an Earthshatter and just trying to bait the other Rhine into it. Whew.
Yeah, Kresnik just made an incredible play. That was actually map winning, or at least map finishing for him to block that shatter from XQC from inside the Graviton. He even swung first to bait it out, and then put up the shield, blocked XQC's, and then Emong's whole hog pushed them the rest of the way.
I mean, this is still super scary, though, for Selfless. Yes, they may have capped, but now there is still a 1.5-minute difference between the 2 times. They really are only going to have maybe 1.5, tops 2 attacks to be able to get control of first point. So they really need to win the first team fight. I like the switch up from Sinatra to Zarya at the end, and when it let the front play Tracer, but because they only have maybe 1.5, 2 fights, they should. The 2-2-2 is probably the most optimal solution.
I hope Space does this. I was just gonna say I would love to see Space camp up here and wait for one of the DPS to come through, because they've been sending both Sinatra and Defran up through this edge all the time. You don't have to hook through the hotel. You camp up here, one of those DPS comes in, and you've already stopped that fight. I love this positioning from Space.
That said, I'd rather than Zarya on offense here, just to nano it. I think it's worth it in that regard too, just for the snowball potential if you're going to go for the... You need to go for the win here.
Yeah, you do need to go for it.
Selfless, tournament life on the line. If they're going to bring this back, they need to not only take this on the first fight, but have a ridiculous overtime push. Otherwise, YIKES will get their first tournament win and take it all. Selfless now, moving over the top. Emong, not quite making that jump here. Instead, probably gonna take the stairs. He's thinking about it. Either way, he's creeping around, looking for early pickoff, and YIKES, they're holding back. They're really buying as much time as possible here, and Sinatra dives too deep. Taken down early on, does not get his man, and this is where the defense can come back in with the 6 versus 5. They get the first few kills, and it's looking like they will be pushing back into Selfless.
Defran's been up over the top, but just not enough damage from him to be able to get any kills. Space missed both of his hooks very early on. He was in a position to try to deny the high ground. Now Defran has to be very careful to not die here. If he dies here, that's so much punching power out of it for the next fight. He's playing very conservatively, and now Pizza gets the boost.
We're in overtime, the final opportunity for Selfless to turn this around and go for the miracle. They lose too early on. Defran, the tack visor, not getting much here over the top as Space eviscerates the backline of Selfless, gets them off the payload, and there are no ticks to be had here. YIKES, 2.5 minutes to get 1 tick on first for King's Row, and that will grant them the championship.
YIKES is having so many good individual performances from each of their members right now. Space basically carried them through that overtime. Defran still was able to take high ground and actually make it really difficult for YIKES to get the good position there, and he's still able to get kills on the ground.
It's had 19 damage, man. He's just not fragging as hard as he needs to be. I think it's hard. Selfless looked really lost again, though, to be fair. I think that, like, Sinatra needs to just calm down and just kill Dante. Dante can't be harassing Michael 3D for that long. He just sat in the back the entire time, and then Sinatra dove into the back line and got killed by Dahoon, I think, on the Lucio. And then they wound up trying to keep Kresnik alive in, like, a mosh pit on the point for I don't know how long, 10 seconds, and by that time the clock was dead. So I think they needed to, like, take that a little bit slower, because they really only had 1 push if they were going to play it like that.
They kept Kresnik alive while they were just blocking out Dahoon from up top, too. They had him slept, then he just put a shield over him, and the scariest slumber party ever woke him up and deleted him. And Space missed his first 2 hooks. They were really important. He missed the first hook on Tracer coming in over the top, and he missed the hook on Dahoon, but it didn't matter. Kept it, and then hit a nice hook onto Michael 3D, who came in. And yeah, you're right. Everyone on this YIKES team is playing very well right now.
Again, to set the stage, YIKES only needs 1 tick, and it will be over. Selfless must dig deep and not allow YIKES to get onto the point really much at all here. A single pickoff could spell the end. And YIKES, they're just gonna casually saunter onto the point right now. Both Reinhardts out of the fight. It is up to Defran and Sinatra to muscle this one back with Emong. They get down Space, and for now, Selfless will take this first fight and buy some degree of time, but respawns are coming in fast, Tex.
Yeah, you're always good with getting a couple of trades on the offense, but I think they did get the much worse part of that fight. Dante and Sinatra both with pulse bombs up could be the game enders or game savers in this next fight as we are in under 2 minutes, but as you mentioned, only 33% of the point needed.
They don't even have to really fully win the fight. They just need Selfless to have a moment of inattention, which we've seen over the course of the series is very possible. Still, we watch Sinatra. He comes in from the back, pulse bomb armed, drops the stick, connects. Za out of the fight immediately, and so is XQC. Selfless, a strong performance to hold on once more. 1 minute 30 left.
The only problem is that now the ultimate economy has swung slightly in the favor of, well, actually, never mind. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. It's still in favor of Selfless here, as they should be able to get to bot 4. Ginger Pop's going to have the boost. I imagine a boost on XQC. You ride the horse that got you there.
Defran looking to buy more time to what has so far been a very good defense. The tack visor is out. Defran razzle-dazzled by Dante in the back. Wastes a lot of his tack visor as a result. He was almost going to die. He had to pay attention. Does not get what he's looking for here early on. Yikes, they've gone to the back, but yet have been able to really get in onto the point. Selfless, 45 seconds away from Miracle Defense. What a charge! Denies Kresnik at the last moment. XQC going off here in the end. Yikes, on the verge of winning it all. They're going to clean up everyone, and Yikes will be your Overwatch monthly Melee champions.
Just boost XQC, see what happens after, hits a beautiful charge to take out his counterpart, flips the script, hits an Earth Shatter, and yeah, I mean, XQC was the story coming into this, did not disappoint. Congratulations, Yikes, formerly Denial. I'm sure we will see them under a new name soon.
We got 5 GG easies from space. We got no GG from Defran. Left that server as soon as possible.